What if what your customers said to you didn't actually matter? And I don't mean that in a your customers don't matter, so it doesn't matter what they say type of way. I mean, what if you were so prepared? What if you had so much control over your sales process that you wouldn't have to necessarily think about how to respond or reply or even think about what happens next? What if you knew what your customer was going to say before you actually said it? Every single day, salespeople log into software programs and CRMs that leverage a thing called an algorithm to automate portions of their sales process. But what if? What if a salesperson at a human individual level could download a sales algorithm to make things more predictable, to make sure that things become automated? What if there was sales automation for human beings? Guys, my name is Jordan Stupar, and you've made it to the only sales channel on YouTube with this type of info. When I look back to my first couple of years in selling, I can tell you that nothing was predictable. I almost thought that there was an infinite number of things that could happen in a sales reaction, and quite frankly, I was terrified of knocking on a door. I just didn't really know what was going to happen. I knew that people weren't going to be interested, but I didn't know the reason why they would say that they weren't interested, and I was always caught on my heels, trying to think about some type of response, some type of reply, trying to figure out what on earth is going on and why I wasn't really in control and why I wasn't really making sales. You see, if you're not in control of the sales process and it's not predictable, then you can't predict anything. You won't know where you're at in the process, and you're gonna miss out on deals. So I'm recording this video to help you understand a little bit about how you can literally automate some of your sales process, and let's talk about it. A long time ago, when I first got into sales, I was guessing at what was going to happen next in the sales process. I didn't know any portions of the sales process, and even worse, I didn't know exactly what my customers were going to say. Then, as I got a little bit of experience, as I got more rejection, and I did make a couple of sales, I started finding out that things were a little bit predictable. And so what I ended up doing after many years is I sat down and I became a sales professional the day after I actually sat down and wrote down on a legal pad a ton of questions, as I've referenced in other videos. That next day, I ended up closing a six-figure deal, making well over $15,000 in commission. And that was the day that I really kind of leveled up because I had a lot of questions that I could ask. Now, what I'm gonna suggest that you do watching this video is grab a legal pad, pause this video, or after this video, write down as many questions as you possibly can that of course relate to your sales process, your product, your service, whatever. And I want you to write down as many as you can think of. And then when you're done thinking of the ones that you've got, I want you to keep on going, because I'm going to tell you something. All of the good questions that you can come up with for your sales process are going to come after you run out of all the bad ones. Bad questions are closed-ended or open-ended. It doesn't really matter. They're bad questions. I'm just kidding. There's no such thing as a bad question. However, there is such a thing as a better question or a high quality question. And the question I'd like to introduce to you today, and the starting point of our sales algorithm and the starting point of being able to predict what's going to happen in your sales process, all starts off with a little thing called a pointed question. This is a term that I have coined a couple years back, and it's a question that includes two close-ended questions that have a predictable answer that point right back to you as the solution and the reason for asking the question. A good example of this would be, for instance, let's take insurance, for example. You're selling life insurance. Instead of asking people questions like, hey, do you already have a policy? Hey, are you prepared for retirement? Hey, do you already have life insurance? Hey, are you familiar with the benefits of an annuity? Instead of asking questions like that, you may want to consider asking somebody a question like this. Hey, sir, do you have more attention right now on your current financial condition and making sure that debt gets paid off and that you're good right now? Or do you have more attention on saving for your future or your retirement? You see, either way that person answers that question, it points right back to you as the solution, and you get to say, without having to think about it, hey, great, that's exactly what I do. Tell me a little bit more about how you're currently going about doing that to get the result that you're looking for. You see what I'm saying? Now let's use another example of me being a car salesperson. Instead of asking questions like, hey, what type of car did you come in here looking for today? Or what type of color car would you like? You might want to consider asking a question that sounds a little bit like this. Hey, do you have more attention right now on a car that is sporty and performance driven, or would you rather have something that is a little bit more family oriented or safe? Again, either way that customer answers that question, you get to say, great, that is exactly what we have here at the store. Follow me, I'll show you exactly what you're probably looking for. Let's do another example of me calling that car dealership because that salesperson doesn't prospect and bring his own traffic into the store. I might end up calling the owner or principal of the dealership or the general manager and say something along the lines of, hey, is your store more of a destination store off the beaten path that people actually have to go to, or is your store located downtown with lots of competition? Either way that person answers that question, I get to say, great, you could agree that it's more important than ever that your people are able to bring in their own traffic, right? And of course, boom, I'm in the conversation. If you're selling digital marketing, instead of asking people, hey, would you like more leads to go to your website? You may want to consider asking somebody a question saying, hey, would you rather have more leads to the website, or are you trying and have more attention on closing the leads that are getting to your website? Either way that person responds, you get to say, hey, great, that's exactly why I'm calling, and specifically what we're good at. This pointed question does a couple of things. One, it assumes that you're an expert and know what you're talking about. Two, it keeps control of the sales process because, again, you're the one asking questions. Three, it gives you a little bit of altitude because it already illustrates that you kind of know what you're talking about in regards to what it is that you're actually selling. And four, it helps the buyer start coming to their own conclusion that you are a solution and that you're worth talking to, and that they may already have a problem that they don't really know about. Now, of course, and as you can guess, implementing a sales algorithm across your entire sales process is going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of thought and, of course, quite a bit of work, and then, of course, some drilling and training. And yeah, that's something that I help companies do, but I wanted to make this video to help you get a little bit of awareness on the fact that using high quality questions like a pointed question are some of the things that you can use and start implementing in your business as early as today or tomorrow or whenever you actually start using them to control the sales process, uncover pain points, and make sure that your buyer is coming to their own conclusion that you are there to help, not just sell something, if that makes sense. The last thing that I want to mention is that after asking something like a pointed question, it is always good to have a series of questions that you can bank on asking and already know the answers to after you receive that response, so that you can continue controlling the sales process and continue uncovering problems and continue helping your buyer come to their own conclusion that you are the solution and worth talking to. Hopefully this video helps you a lot. Let me know down in the comments if it does. And by the way, of course, if you got some value out of this, send it to a friend. Hit the subscribe button. Drop me a like or something. Either way, I'd love to talk with you and I'd love to help you out when it comes to selling, because sales can be automated. It just goes deep and it requires a little bit of time. And if you have time and you want to go deep, go to stuparsalesacademy.com, where I provide well over 200 video lessons regarding what I'm talking about, going deep and implementing sales algorithmic processes in your sales process. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.